Good day, emerging mothers. I hope you all are well. Listen, I have been away for just a bit, and I'm glad that I'm back here with you. And, some of you who are in the group, your teens have already transitioned out of the home. Yet some of you, your teens have yet to transition out. And then there's some of you who, like me, have a teen or teens who are still at home and have teens who have transitioned out of the home. So this talk will be for either type of emerging mother, whether you have teens who are in the home or they've left already. For those of you who have teens who have left already, listen, they are on the college campus. It's the month of October, so they will be back home, of course, next month. They have tasted just a little bit of freedom, and so you may even see a change of behavior here or there because they've kind of been out and about just a bit. They've been, taking authority, and they've been attending some classes. They've been making some of their own decisions. They have been responding to some of their own questions, some of the questions that they typically would have asked you had they been home, but yet by all intents and purposes, they probably have asked other friends, or they have asked maybe an academic advisor, or maybe they've asked one of their props on campus. But they are on a campus, they're in the world, and they're doing it. So, but what I like, and so for them, maybe they're in a stage right now where they have already, made their, kind of, position themselves and have made up in their mind that they do fit in there within the college, on the college campus, and they should actually be there. They have of course submitted some assignments, and they've gotten some grades back, and maybe they've already taken their first midterm because it's like, it's midterm here in the semester. Maybe they have, seen someone that maybe they may have wanted to approach on the college campus. They may have, they may be connected up with maybe a boo or something that they have, or someone whom they have met, and then they have maybe a new set of friends and all types of things. For those of you who have teens who have transitioned and are on the college campus, a number of things are probably occurring and going on as we speak, and some of them, of course, they have adjusted to some roommates because now they are, of course, settled in either to their dorm room or into their apartment, and so yeah, they've been out and they've been about, and so, but this is what I want to talk to you about today for just a short period of time, and that's about letting go. Is that a challenge for us to do? Absolutely. We have been, cuddling, and we have been making decisions for these individuals whom God has blessed us with for all of these years. And so to begin thinking about letting go, I mean, my goodness, we've helped them to tie their shoes, and we have helped them to, go into their preschools and their elementary schools and their middle schools, and we have dropped them off even at their high schools before they then begin driving on their own. And then to think about letting go, then, and see, now I have to let go of you all for just a minute while I ask my youngest daughter, who's 15. I love that she's doing the dishes. I love that she's putting them in the dishwasher. However, I just want you all to be able to hear me. And so, Ivana, if you hold off for just a second with those dishes until I've finished talking with emerging mothers, please, that would be absolutely awesome. Although I'm confident that you'll swing back full circle and jump on them, of course, the moment I'm finished. And so letting go, and first and foremost, I want to talk about letting go of giving and knowing that they're going to accept all the advice that you give them. You know, it's so interesting because, you know, when they have gotten to a point where they're making their own choices and making their own decisions, it's interesting because we would expect, like when they were younger, that they would, of course, continue to take our advice because, you know, we would want only the best for them. And so when it gets to a point as they get older and they discontinue taking our advice, and then for you mothers who have already, the teens have already transitioned out of the home, you know, and then they come back and they're making their own decisions, and then to think that, you know, they're still going to take every advice that we provide, you know, that's an area right there that, of course, we're wanting to begin letting go, because at some point in time, and you'll be able to know this based on your relationship with your teen, you'll be able to know when that time is where they're in all actuality, you know, making their decisions, and when, you know, they're moving away from some of the advice that we're giving them. And this happened, of course, for me, of course, when my teens, they graduated from college and they were making their, you know, their own money, and then moving out of the home, and so making decisions for themselves. And so, you know, and when I receive a call from time to time, and there's a need for advice, and we're asking for advice, then by golly, I'm just jumping all over it, you know, and giving advice. And then sometimes it may even come, you know, unsolicited from time to time. And guess what? You know, I avoid my feelings being hurt or being offensive when my advice is no longer being taken. So I just wanted to give a heads up regarding what is to come, unless it has happened already. Okay? And then also, when we talk about letting go, then also letting go of worrying. You know, I may be concerned about a thought, or I may be concerned about an action from time to time, but I focus on not worrying. I know scripture says that, and so, you know, what I focus on is 1 Peter 5:7, and that's casting all of my cares over on him, because he cares for me. And so I'm going into some prayer when I sense that something is happening, or maybe my teen is going in a certain direction, whereas I know without a shadow of a doubt that that direction is on a path that is inevitable, that there needs to be a 360 or 180 or something to avoid where we're heading. You know, I'm going to the Lord in prayer. I will share, you know, my thoughts about the direction in which the path that's being taken, and then other than that, I'm going to the maker, someone who, the mind regulator, the heart changer. I'm going to that person right there, the CEO of the universe, the one who superintends this world. That's who I'm going to, so that I can make sure that, of course, the person who's able to actually change things, you know, knows my concerns, and so that's I'm pleading the blood over here on the left, while a teen may be going in this direction. You know, letting go of worry. I can think about when my daughters were even in high school or middle school, and maybe a situation may occur, whereas I needed to jump in with both feet. You know, and at the beginning of this talk, I mentioned that we've been caring for them all of their lives, and then the letting go can be a slight challenge. It can be. And so before they left, if help or support was needed, then of course I was there to jump in with both feet. And for my ones who have already left home, of course, then, you know, when help is needed, then I do try to, you know, take a couple of steps back and guide and direct so that she can make the necessary moves in order to rectify or resolve a situation that may be at hand. So it's a catch-22. So yep, letting go of course, giving advice, or continuing to give advice when we see that the advice may not be wanted, or is maybe a deaf ear has been turned on the advice. Knowing that, I might need to let that go if especially if it's unsolicited advice, and they're out of college, and it's these are young adults. And so just for those of you who have younger children, just know that this is forthcoming. So this is good for either or. And then letting go of worry and all of that. And then also, listen, this is powerful, letting go of shaming. Sometimes we may give advice, and we give that advice, and if our teens make a decision, a different decision, then from time to time, we mothers have a way of bringing it back up, the decision that we have asked them to make and that they should have made, in a shameful kind of way, as though that is helpful. And so I'm encouraging us to begin letting go of even that shaming mode, because whatever decision they make, especially if they're young adults, then they'll have to stand on that decision. And so even as they're standing on a wrong decision, really, if our teens are in their right minds, they're already probably standing in a puddle of shame. And then for us to add to it, I'm uncertain if that puts them in a good place. And so I want us to begin, all of us, to begin letting go of even shaming our teens. And then last but not least is especially, now I know there's still control that they have when they're in our homes. And then even when they leave out and come back, it's still our home. These four walls, this roof, so rules do still go. However, when they've moved out of our home, and then also there's flexibility even for those who have graduated and come back, and we've released, we've let out the fishing pole reel just a little bit more, as it pertains to control and all of that. So especially, again, when they're these young adults and being able to let go and release in reference to the amount of control we had before they left, that would put us in a win-win situation. So, avoiding, all of the lecturing that we did previously. And then letting go of the control by being prepared to compromise. When it's as it pertains to maybe, cleaning up, having a day to clean up, and if, my daughter may have mentioned, what, Mom, Sundays are better for me to clean up as opposed to Saturday. Sundays are better for me. And so, what the bottom line is, making sure that it gets done, that the house is clean, making sure that, of course, just thinking, preparing dinner, taking turns preparing dinner, or whatever the situation may be, being prepared to compromise. That's a part of letting go of the control. And then also letting go of the control means allowing them to make mistakes. Listen, we all make mistakes. And so that could be a part of letting go of control, that everything has to be at this level of perfection. And then also letting go of control means limiting our questions. Now, this could be a big one, because prior to them teens leaving home, of course, we want to know, Now, after they've returned, like, is there, like, after graduation, they're making their own dollars, they're about to move out, like, do we really, let's ask ourselves, like, do we really need to know all of those things that we needed to know prior to them leaving? Like, we have to ask ourselves, we have to, like, come to ourselves and ask ourselves, like, is that, like, so essential? You know, like, why do I need to know all of that after, you know, they've been gone for 3.5, 4, 5 years, and they're taking care of business, and they're, you know, taking care of themselves, and they're doing quite well, and they have this new set of friends. And at first we wanted to know the friends they were hanging with before they left home, but do we need to know every single body that they're hanging with? Or do we need to know where they are every single minute of the day? Do we, like it's like, we have to ask ourselves, do we need to know all of those things? So listen, mothers, we are in this together, and what you all are going through, listen, we're in the trenches together, and we can do this, you know, without feeling this vulnerability that, you know, comes over some of us mothers when we have yet to feel prepared regarding the stage we are in our lives with our teens. And so listen, I want you all to be encouraged. And I want you all to just make sure that you're taking care of yourself and doing those things that you love at this stage in life. Because if and when your teens transition out of the home, you will already be in the mode of doing things that you love. And that is so essential in living this life that we are called to live abundantly. So listen, you all remain encouraged, remain inspired, remain motivated. You know, listen, I handed my daughters over to the Lord, and so, because guess what, He's able to make the very best decisions for them. Listen, God bless you all. I love you tons, and I will be back next week, and it will be a totally different topic. So I look forward to seeing y'all here. Listen, if you have any questions, drop them down in the chat, and I'll be sure to connect back with you. Again, love you. Take care. See you soon. Bye.